On March 4th, 2022, a 39-year-old mother from Park City, Utah, called emergency services. She reported her husband, cold and unresponsive, beside their bed. The victim was Eric Richins. He was a stonemason who spent his early mornings building a local business through manual labor and his weekends coaching his son's baseball teams. He maintained strict routines tied to his family and his community. His wife, Kouri Richins, operated as his dynamic partner. She managed their social calendar, handled residential real estate flips, and maintained the appearance of an affluent, stable family unit.
The medical examiner reviewed the case and found no natural heart anomalies or sudden medical failures. Instead, Eric's stomach contained an illicit dose of fentanyl, measuring 5 times the lethal threshold. An ingestion of that magnitude immediately breaks the assumption of a secure, predictable environment. A typical suburban household had become the site of a fatal overdose. While presenting the image of a profitable real estate empire, accountants documented Kouri's hidden deficit, cascading personal debt totaling $4.5 million. To service that debt, she quietly siphoned over $100,000 directly from Eric's business accounts. Even with that misappropriation, she defaulted on state and federal tax obligations, while simultaneously taking out aggressive hard money loans. The pressure of these compounding defaults created an immediate demand for an untraceable influx of liquidity to keep her public narrative intact. Severe financial ruin often acts as a catalyst. When a public illusion requires immediate capital to survive, desperation translates into calculated, high-risk deception. 3 weeks before his death, physical anomalies began to surface in Eric's routine. On Valentine's Day, he took a few bites of a sandwich Kouri bought from a diner. He immediately broke out in severe hives, suffered throat constriction, and survived an anaphylactic shock only after administering an EpiPen. He told his sister he believed his wife was actively attempting to poison him. He then initiated concrete legal steps to protect his family. Looking at this estate diagram, Eric deployed a legal mechanism. He removed Kouri from his will, transferring his primary estate and business into a separate trust controlled by his sister. Unaware, Kouri assumed his death would trigger modified life insurance policies, totaling $2 million. This asymmetrical flow of legal information created a blind spot for Kouri, accelerating her timeline to secure the payouts she believed were still active. Following the failed attempt on Valentine's Day, digital logs show Kouri requesting heavy-duty pain medication from a housekeeper with access to street-level drugs. Fentanyl is a synthetic opioid, 50 times more potent than heroin.
In an illicit, unprescribed setting, a single grain the size of a salt crystal is sufficient to shut down the brain's respiratory drive. To mask the taste of this chemical, it was mixed into a high-acid, sweet environment. On the night of March 3rd, Kouri prepared a Moscow mule to celebrate a real estate closing, bringing it to Eric in their master bedroom. Toxicological analysis confirmed the fentanyl was ingested orally in this concentrated liquid environment. Within 20 minutes, a dose of that purity induces rapid pulmonary edema and cardiac stoppage. Kouri stated she left the master bedroom after handing him the glass, retreating to her young son's room to comfort him after a bad dream. By isolating the victim in a wealthy suburban bedroom and using an everyday cocktail, a perpetrator calculates that a chemical delivery will successfully masquerade as an accidental natural casualty.
Kouri told investigators her phone remained untouched on her nightstand throughout the night. The digital event logs recorded a different reality. Between 9 in the evening and 3 in the morning, the internal accelerometer logged continuous movement, locking the device 64 times. Message threads from that exact window were deleted and purged from the local cache. However, forensic software utilizing SQLite database extraction recovered that deleted activity directly from the phone's unallocated storage space. She searched if police could force a lie detector test, researched luxury prisons for the rich, and asked if a pending death certificate would halt a life insurance payout. A phone does not forget when it is lifted, and an application database does not forget erased text. Modern digital architecture creates a permanent, indifferent letter that nullifies human attempts at narrative manipulation. Knowing the physical evidence was closing in, Kouri constructed a public persona to deflect institutional scrutiny. She authored a children's picture book about processing grief and sat for morning talk show interviews,
speaking softly about childhood trauma. That psychological facade fell apart completely when authorities searched her holding cell following her arrest. Inside a paperback novel, investigators intercepted a 17-page handwritten document known as the walkie-talkie letter. The letter contained detailed instructions directing her mother to force her brother to commit perjury. She wanted him to testify under oath that Eric had obtained illegal prescription drugs from Mexico, an attempt to reframe his murder as a self-induced overdose. Self-deception often convinces perpetrators that if they control the conversation, they control the outcome. But calculated deception, even when heavily armored in the familiar language of suburban grief, ultimately shatters against the unalterable data of the world, financial and digital ledgers.